Good evening everyone, I'm George of Big A Knits, my pronouns are he, they, and today we are going to look at some beginner friendly patterns, whether or not you should make them. We are going to look at the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller, and we're also going to look at the Real Easy Raglan from Maker Maker, plus some extra bonus content. So stick around and let me know if this is a pattern that you would like to make. This is what I've got to show you today, a big armful of yarn. So I have got some Step by Step sweaters, I have got some Maker Maker Real Easy Raglans, and I've got a self-drafted and then one that I have smushed together out of two different patterns. So let's get started. So these are the Step by Step sweaters that I have made. It's a free pattern by Florence Miller, available on Ravelry, and she's also done about an hour-long tutorial video that talks you through every single step that you need in order to be able to make this jumper, which is so amazing. Thank you so much for that. This is probably the first garment thing that I really made. I was so nervous about doing it, and my friend had made one out of the same yarn, so I didn't even think about gauge. I was just like, she's made one, I can make one, let's do this. So I picked this. This is some Serdar dual spun Aran, and I think it just used 200 gram skeins of yarn to make. It's the first time that I'd ever done a folded collet. It's the first time I'd ever done German short rows at the back to shape the neck. Yeah, I loved making this. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how the yarn changed throughout, through the colours of this, although you can see obviously as you decrease the rate of change of the colour changes as well. I love that I didn't really have to worry about it matching as well. I just think it's so lovely. I think this yarn's really effective yarn to use and very underrated. It has gone a little bit crunchy, so this just got whacked into the washing machine. It's 100% acrylic. It's basically bomb proof, you can't do anything to it, so don't need to worry about blocking because it's going to be the size that it is. But it has got that slight acrylic-y crunch to it, but I love this so much. I think it looks much more elevated than it is. So yeah, so really happy with this. You can tell kind of from the little spot through here that I was doing my increases a little bit wrong to begin with, and then as I go further down I get a little bit better, a bit smoother at picking those up. So yeah, this is the first one that I made, and I think definitely one of my favourites. This is the second one that I made. I did this, I learned a little bit from the first one, and where the pattern advises that the sleeves will block out and the length will grow a little bit longer. I recognise that acrylic yarn probably isn't going to do that compared to a wool yarn, so I've made this a little bit longer. This also went through the washing machine. It's made from Aldi Aran yarn, which is I think 80% wool, 80% acrylic, 20% wool. And I really like this. It's a little bit softer. It doesn't have that same kind of crunchy feeling as the other acrylic that I've used, although whether or not that's because of how many times that one's been through the washing machine, who can say. I didn't do a folded collar for this one, so the neckline is a little bit strange. All of them do seem to have this weird boat neck shape, so I don't know if that's because I need a bit more extra or because of my shoulders. I'm not really sure exactly what's causing that, but I feel like it would sit a bit better if the shoulders came up and it was a bit more round. I made this, and I think in fact I've made all of them in the size medium, but they have come out a little bit larger. I will eventually learn to gauge swatch, but we're not there yet. So this is a little bit more oversized than I think you would possibly get if you knitted to gauge. But yeah, I really like this one. I really like the colour of this yarn. This was a yarn that I picked up from the craft swap. So someone donated this gigantic 400 gram massive ball of the Aran yarn, and I was like, I really like that. I really like that, but I don't know what I would do with it. And having just made the other Step by Step sweater and knowing that I made that out of 200 gram skeins of yarn, I was thinking maybe I can get it out of 400, so that's why I didn't do the folded collar, because I was a bit worried about yarn. I've got a tiny ball of yarn left that I'm keeping to mend this just in case I get any holes. So yeah, so very happy with this one too. This is the third Step by Step sweater that I made. This is out of a yarn from Yarn Smiths. This is I think an own brand from, oh gosh, either Wool Warehouse or something in that vein. I will put up in the description which one it is. It is the Pebble Haze Prints, and this is in Lulworth. the colourway. I really like it because it gives me like trans flag vibes. So I really love that about it. It's just, yeah, it reminds me of that. I went back to the folded collar for this one, and I like kind of the chunkiness of the folded collar. This yarn was originally the first ever like proper jumper that I made, and I tried to make a panel jumper from completely the wrong yarn using a free pattern that was like seamed together, and it was a complete pig's ear. I made a total mess of it. So I frogged all of that back again, and then I reknit this, which was really sweet, and then the leftovers have gone out into my knitting circle, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what people make out of those. Yeah, really happy with this one. It is, I think, like an acrylic. It's one of those blown yarns, so I think it's cotton and then acrylic, so I think it's like 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. So it's quite nice and like lightweight. Like of all of the ones that I've made, this is definitely like the summer, like the closest to summer that you're getting in a big jumper. So yeah, it does have like a little bit of kind of different property to it that I haven't really worked with a cotton yarn before, so that was kind of a new thing. So the sleeves are kind of a bit more stiff. It's not quite as fluid as some of my other garments. But yeah, but I just love the colour of it. I think it's so lovely. A friend of mine made her dog a coat out of this, and that kind of sparked the whole thing. I was like, I need that yarn. Please tell me what that is. And then immediately bought it. So yeah, so very happy for it to be in a wearable format now. A quick roundup of the pattern then. So this is a top-down constructed raglan. You do alternating decreases to come out. You do knit the top half of the sleeve, go down, work the body, and then come back and pick up the sleeves and knit them down. I love this pattern. I think it's brilliant. I think if you are thinking of knitting a jumper and you don't know where to start, this is the perfect place to go. I think there's like a billion projects on Ravelry of people making this, and I can totally see why. It's super easy to pick up. The instructions are brilliant. There's a video tutorial. So I think for the back German short rows, you have to make one purl, make one right and left purl, and that was definitely very new to me, and I was like, I don't know how on earth I'm going to do this. But Florence's video, and it's got timestamps, you just jump to the right part of the video, she shows you exactly what to do and where to put the needles to get the stitch through, and it's so clear. So like a million stars out of 5 for clarity rating. I'm really happy that this pattern exists, and I think a lot of people have probably gotten into knitting because of this pattern. So yeah, so if that's you and you're about to start your first ever project and you're thinking, oh, I don't know about that, please give it a go. It'll be so worth it. I can't encourage you enough to go and have a go. That's very much my knitting philosophy, is to have a go. It's just yarn. There's nothing bad that can happen from it. If you're sitting at home looking at this video wondering whether or not to start knitting and whether or not to use this pattern, I would highly encourage you to have a go, because it is so beginner friendly. For a garment, it knits up incredibly quickly, and the outcome is so satisfying. These are definitely jumpers that I know will last in my wardrobe for a very long time because of the classic nature of the construction. Overall, I'm a really big fan of this pattern, and I definitely think it is 100% beginner friendly and definitely worth picking up a copy of. So this is my first Maker Real Easy Raglan. This is knitted in a DK weight. This kind of came about because I picked up these 2 stripes of yarn from the craft swap. Again, my friends were like, George, it's green, it's got your name on it, you have to have that yarn. So this is Serdar Loveful, which is a recycled blend. So these 2 colours are actually the same name, it's fern, but they're in slightly different dye lots because the yarn is made out of like recycled fibres, so you have to be very careful with your dye lots for this. But I think it's a really cool concept of like reusing a blend of materials. So I think it's 60% wool, and then I think there's like acrylic and viscose and some other fibre blends in that, so that's really cool. And then this kind of paler sage green is I think James C. Brett Touch of Merino type thing. I knitted this up about August 2025, and then it was like too hot to wear, so it just got shoved into a cupboard, and I pulled it back out again. I've totally forgotten about it. So it's really funny because I was thinking about making this video for you guys, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got that whole jumper as well. So but I remembered it differently, so I remembered it having like much deeper stripes in this, so I didn't realise that I'd gone down so many times. I think these are like 7 centimetre stripes that I've got coming down. So that was really funny to pull it out, put it on and go like, oh yeah, no, I did change that. So yeah, when I first knitted this, it was a little bit coarse, and I think because this is it's very soft but quite acrylic-y, but this is quite rough because I'd done it right over my elbow. It was a little bit scratchy where I'd used that yarn over there, but having washed it, and I think I might have even put some hair conditioner into the soak for this, but it's now very soft and very comfortable to wear. So yes, it's really nice to have this, and again, my love for green jumpers is unmatched, as I sit again in my entirely green sitting room, talking to you guys wearing green trousers and these slippers that I've made, which are also green. Let me know if you want info on these. I didn't want to pay for the sailor slippers pattern, so I tried to make my own, which I think they've been like surprisingly effective. They are quite grimy, I won't lie, because I've been wearing them non-stop. Yeah, let me know if you want to see that. I wanted to make this video because I think it's really important to think about accessibility in knitting, and the fact that not everyone has access to like paid for patterns, not everyone has access to fancy yarns. So I kind of want to show what you can do with like very little money. So for example, this one that I'm wearing, like these stripes of yarn were free, and I used nearly all of the leftover. It was like kind of a partial hank of yarn for that, and then I just had this, which I think was like about £2.15 in my local yarn shop. Some other yarns that I've had, so my red jumper is completely free project because it was a free pattern and free yarn, so please don't let that put you off. I'd really highly encourage you, if you're a beginner to knitting, please join your like local knitting group, get to know people, tell them that you're new to knitting. If you're struggling for like equipment or like yarns or anything, most people are so happy to help our beginners, because we all love knitting, that's why we knit, and anything we can do to encourage people to knit is a massive bonus for us. You could even trying to find a craft swap, or maybe even organise one for yourself in your local area. I wouldn't have been able to knit as much as I have if I didn't have the kindness and generosity of my fellow knitters, so for that I'm very thankful. I also wanted to put in here that I'm not a yarn snob. I know some people have feelings about acrylic, and some people have feelings about synthetic fibres, and some people have feelings about natural fibres and animal fibres, and I just wanted to say that everything is welcome here. I don't think that we need to be squabbling about who's making what out of what. I think for me, knitting is a rebellious act against capitalism, against fast fashion, and anything that you spend hundreds of hours making by hand, painstakingly, slowly, can only be a good thing in terms of sustainability. Also, people don't owe you sustainability, people don't owe you environmentalism, people don't owe you acting in the most perfect way for the planet that we exist in. Everyone's on their own path of that and finding their own way through that. And I wouldn't want someone who can only afford acrylic yarn to feel like they weren't welcome in a space because that's what's in their budget, or even if that's what they prefer to wear and they love that you can wash it so easily and that it comes in really bright colours. I think we should be encouraging people to be creative in the ways that they can be creative, and not everyone has to agree on anything 100% perfectly to be in the same community and in the same space. I think that making a garment and making something that you wear and interact with is a hugely valuable experience, and I think that once you've gone through that process, you come out changed on the other side. Particularly when I started sewing garments, I realised the amount of work and effort that it had to go into even making just like a pair of pants or a t-shirt. It would take a solid like a couple of hours to make that, and it really opened my eyes in terms of the material cost, and then the amount of quantity of labour and how skilled that labour is really hit home about how precious clothes should be and how much people are being exploited to make them. It makes me really happy to see that the younger generation and like Gen Z and Gen Alpha are really getting into crafts and like thinking about their mental health and thinking about things from an environmental standpoint. And like making things is fun, and making things that you can wear is fun. Telling people that you made the jumper that you're wearing and them going, wow, that's so cool, is one of the best feelings in the world. Slight segue into like fibre snobbery, but yeah, I just wanted to say like all fibres are safe with me and you're not going to be judged about what you're using to make stuff by hand. This jumper is made in a very similar way to the Step by Step sweater, so that was very familiar for me to pick that up. I did a single fold neckband for this and not a double fold because I wanted it to sit a little bit wider on my neck. But I was quite familiar at this point with using the German short rows to build up the back of the neck, and I realised that I didn't want as many, so I think it said to do it about 6 or 8 times to kind of get that build up at the back, and I find that that doesn't work super well for my body, so I just did it a couple of times and then proceeded down into the increases. So you do like the Raglan 4 increases, and then was just thinking about kind of colour changing as well. That was like another added level of this, an added component. The other thing that was kind of stressful was using like the scrap amount of yarn, so there was a lot of weighing of yarn and a lot of like, this stripe took 7 grams and this stripe took 21 grams, and trying to figure out if I was going to have enough. So I just about made it. I think I did have like some little extra bits at the end, which I was so relieved about, but I think getting down to like this like bit of the sleeve, and I was like, okay, so I just need this one more stripe, there's just one more stripe there, and then that's fine and that's okay. But I was working all of this like kind of simultaneously, so as I kind of went through each colour I picked up another bit, so I did like the sleeve, then the centre, then the other sleeve, and then the sleeve, and then the centre, and then the other sleeve, working backwards and forwards to ensure that I could have kind of it matching and kind of coordinating down, and a little bit pattern matched down the side. That's this one. I think this like really nice kind of tweedy yarn reminds me quite a lot of those really cute little frogs, like the stop motion frogs. It's India Rose Crawford that makes them. I think they're so cute, I love them. This was also a bit of a practice garment because I had some really very bougie yarn that my lovely friend Jess gave to me, and I really wanted to make a jumper out of it. I really wanted to make it like immediately, but I was also like, George, you can't put the really fancy yarn straight into a jumper that you've not made before. So this was kind of like a proof of pattern. So yeah, really happy that I've made this, and I'm looking forward to wearing it very much. This is my second Make Real Easy Raglan. I made this using Pearl Soho Mulberry Merino and Rowan Island blend. This yarn is like a sport weight, and then this is kind of a light DK. Dark green yarn of this came from a very good friend Jess. She managed to pick it up at the craft swap and then said that she wasn't going to be able to use it, and she was like, you love the colour green, and I was like completely drooling over it, and was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So so she very kindly gave it to me to make into something, so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much. This is such a lovely item to wear. It's like the softest, floppiest, drapiest, most comfy, but I think also looks quite smart. I think it's kind of like a slightly finer gauge, so whereas where the Aran weight gives kind of more of that like chunky rustic look, this is like refined, shall we say. I did a folded collar on this one because I'd done the flat collar and it had kind of stretched out. This again has like flopped out, but I think that's more the characteristics of the yarn. So again, like the quite narrow folded collar and then straight into the Raglan increases. I didn't have to worry so much about this Rowan yarn running out, but I used every single tiny little bit of this dark green. So this is a discontinued yarn, so I knew that I couldn't get any more at all whatsoever. I did have a look on Ravelry to see if anyone had any in their stash and that they were willing to part with, but they didn't. So I ended up, I think I had to splice on a bit of this to the dark green to kind of do the cast off at the back, and I think instead of doing a stretchy cast off I had to like rip back 19 stitches and then redo them as tight as I possibly could to try and get it out of this yarn. So the back looks a little bit funky, but that's fine because I can't see the back. I'm so thrilled with this. This I think is probably one of my favourite things that I've made. It's just super soft. It's super soft. I love the colours. I think this dark green really suits me, so feel free to disagree in the comments. The only thing I would say is that I have got quite a lot of bobbling. It has kind of like pilled quite a lot, and given that this yarn was like not cheap yarn. I am a little bit disappointed in that, but I think it's just because it's so soft that it braids quite easily. I am thinking about having a bit of a shave down of this to make it a little bit less bobbly, but it's not stopping me from wearing it. And maybe it is because I wear it so much and it's quite a silky, well, it has a silk content to it. Maybe that is kind of what contributes to that, but I don't really care because when I'm wearing it, it just feels so nice against the skin, and it's got that lovely warmth, but it's not super bulky. It's just so lovely. I'm so happy that I made this. I love the pattern. It's really easy to follow. I think I made the size medium again for this. I think once I'd done the step-by-step sweater, this again felt very familiar to be knitting, and because I'd made the other version first, I was able to really just like get through this really quickly, and it was kind of a nice, because it did have the colour changing, so I was counting some rows of it, but it was just nice to just zone out, watch some videos, put some stuff on in the background, and just like get my stockinette like chill on. I just love sitting there just being like, yes, same stitch, same stitch, same stitch, over and over again. As you can see from the 8 sweaters that I've made, I do like making a lot of stockinette projects. I just think it looks really classic. I do like to make some kind of more unusual things, and I'm looking forward to kind of experimenting this year and seeing what I can make that's a bit more interesting. But I think it's just so nice to have some more basic patterns and more basic staples to wear over and over again, and I think that's why this jumper has had so much wear. I mentioned at the start of the video that I've got a couple of wild cards for you, and this is one of them. This is a semi self-drafted jumper, so I was looking for things to use this yarn. So my best friend bought me some yarn for my birthday last year, which was very kind of her, and it's really lovely. It's this forest green and this orange kind of variegated yarn that she gave me. I think 2 skeins of the green. Yeah, I think I had 2 of the green and 2 of the orange together. It's from Laura, or Adventures in Yarncraft. Laura unfortunately shut down her shop last year, so very sad to have lost that. She did some amazing yarns. So if you see them ever come up secondhand, like, I would highly recommend. It's very high quality, and the dyes are just really lovely, like beautiful colour stories. This is undyed merino from Laughing Hens, which I was trying to match to kind of these two, but actually these two themselves, even though they were from the same yarn dyer, are not quite the same gauge as each other. So I have got like it is a little bit looser tension, but I think it gives this kind of quite interesting, like almost kind of ribbed effect down the sleeve. I was having a look around on Ravelry to see if I could find some patterns that would use this yarn, because I really wanted to make it into a garment. I made a little hat which has been nabbed by my partner because she just looks so good in burnt orange. So I was on the hunt for a pattern that used, I think, super chunky or chunky weight. I think the problem is when you get into this yarn weight category, it's hard to find something that's like meets gauge. So I found the bonfire jumper pattern, and I kind of took inspiration from that, and I had took inspiration from the other couple of jumpers that I'd made, using the same kind of like start with the neck and then do the increases until you get to the size that you want. So this does have a very slightly kind of bat wingy shape under the arm. Again, this yarn is kind of bobbled a little bit because I think it's just so soft. So I found that I kind of took inspiration from kind of approximately how many stitches. I think I tried it. I did some stitches. I was like, what would I put on for a hat? And then did like a few more. So because that was called the bonfire jumper, I decided to call this my bonfire in a snowy forest jumper because of the orange and then the forest green together. I'm super happy with this. I finished it in winter last year, and I haven't stopped wearing it basically. It is so warm. Because it's so thick, there's so much loft and density to that, it really traps the air next to my skin. And it's just, if I wake up and I'm really cold, I will put this on and then be like, aha, okay, lovely. And then I add on my scarf and my indoor hat and then my little wrist warmers as well. But very happy with this. I made a matching hat as well out of the leftovers. Let me go get that actually. So my partner has nabbed the orange beanie, but this is the one that I've made. Again, this is like a self-drafted pattern. I'll pop it on for you. I'm not sure that the white is like the most flattering. I think I do best with like a darker colour right next to my face. But I do love going out and matching, and I do wonder if anyone ever notices that like I'm wearing a matching jumper and hat together. Let me know if you would notice that at the shop. So very happy with this, very happy that I've kind of learned the techniques of how to make things and really build on those skills that I've learned from the step-by-step sweater and from the Maker Real Easy Raglan. The last make that I've got to show you is kind of building on that theme again of like expanding my skills and knowledge. So If you've watched my video, the Apocalypso, you'll know about the apocalypse that I had making the Calypso sweater, which is what this is. So this is a kind of mashup of those two patterns. So I've used the Calypso sweater colour work for kind of the top of this yoke, but then I used the step by step sweater to kind of do the sleeves and the sleeve shaping and the body of this. And it's from the same Aldi yarn again. If you want to watch my video about is Aldi yarn worth it, spoiler, I think yes. You can see kind of the similar shape of the sleeve that I've got here from these two yarns. So I just wanted to show you that you don't always have to have the most amazing technical skills and knowledge. You can make stuff work together, and I think these patterns are a great way of doing that, to show you the ropes and to show you what you're looking for and how to make that work. I would highly recommend both of these patterns for beginners, so definitely check it out, see what you think in the Aran weight, so the kind of slightly heavier weight and then the slightly lighter DK weight. I like making this style of jumper so much that I've actually started a fingering weight as well, so this is a 4-ply jumper pattern that I'm working on. But if you want more updates on that, you'll have to check out my next stash busting video. So that is my sweater roundup. I hope that was really useful to you, and I hope that you can see how you can develop those skills, what the different yarn types look like together when you knit them up. Please let me know if you're going to go make a step-by-step sweater or a real easy raglan, or if you have ever self-drafted a raglan. If you've watched this part of the video, can you put a little green heart in the comment, or like a sunflower or any other kind of emoji? I'd love to know how many people got to the end of this. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Take care. Cheery bye.